Today we are talking to Maggie Valley resident Jared Lee. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So what was it like growing up in Haywood County?
It was good. I mean, obviously Haywood County is, a smaller place, but I had a great upbringing. Just hung out with friends, rode bikes, hung out uptown, played sports, and eventually found skateboarding, and everything kind of changed from that period going forward.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So you started skating at 13 years old.
Yes.
And then got picked up by a skate team at one point.
Yeah, midway through high school, I got my first real sponsor. A skate shop in Asheville before that had started, helping me out with a little bit. But yeah, right towards middle into high school was when I first got my real sponsors.
And how did that come about? Like, were you out skating? Did someone spot you? Enter into a competition?
There was an older mentor skater guy in Waynesville, and he was really good at the time, and he was talking with a company out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he was going to be riding on their team, and he was going on a trip with them, and they were coming through here to pick him up in the team van to go do some demos. And he just told him, he's like, I have this younger kid that skates in town, and I skate with him all the time, and he's good. If there's room in a van, can he take a seat? And they said yes. We did that trip, and I built relationships with those people, and they eventually asked me to. They was like, if you want to start riding for us. And then that led into, as soon as I graduated high school, a trip to just go on a summer tour, which, as a skateboarder, that's the dream.
Yes.
Right out of high school was like, oh, somebody just kind of handed me my dream.
Right.
It was pretty incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I feel like from there, you continue to meet more people, and it develops, and those opportunities grow, and then you meet other sponsors.
Okay. Very cool. So this trip took you around the world. Where did you go?
All over. Spain is a mecca for skateboarding. Yep. They do a lot with Architect, and they're much more relaxed about people skating around cities. So I've been there 3 different times, England multiple times, Ecuador, Fiji, Canada, a grip of other places.
Casual.
Awesome.
So did you in Spain get to go skate that skate park that's in the church? Was
No,
that around at the time?
I don't know if that was there at the time. Every time I went, we were in Barcelona, which really is the skateboard mecca. You would go over there and see more skateboard pros over there than you would probably ever see at one place in America, because everybody would go there to film their video parts. Because unlike America, everybody here is so worried that if you fall, you're going to sue their business, or you're going to come after them. And it's a different mentality over there. They're not as worried about that. And they build stuff in a much more creative looking way than the States does, which the States seems to be very cookie cutter and blocks, when they're much more into art, and that skaters can play right into that atmosphere, and it's fantastic.
I once had a classmate in one of my studio classes who was a boarder referred to his board as a paintbrush, and I thought that was a beautiful analogy. And I can imagine in a place like Barcelona, one would be very inspired to paint the town. Yeah. With their board.
You're in a city playground.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's wild. Especially when you come from like a small town, and about any place in America where you're used to, whether you're a delinquent or not, like you're used as a skateboarder to be treated like that.
Yes. Being
ran off from every place. And it's like, you see the business side of it, but then you also see like, I'm just out here riding a skateboard, like there's a lot worse stuff kids can be doing. Yeah, and all this stuff is just materials and material stuff, and it's like, are we caring about the person and what they're doing, or are we just caring about stuff? Especially like when churches would take issues with it. You're like, why? Like, we're kind of your mission people. Like, we're the downtrodden, the outcasts. We are the people you're after. So when you run us off, it was always really, it was disturbing, like, to me. But then to go to a place like Spain where it's like, everybody's way more relaxed about it.
Right.
You're like, why can't America just chill out? Like, we're not here to sue you. Like, but
we're not here to deliberately, destroy your property or anything. And,
and then there is, there obviously within skateboarding, there is things that, sometimes get destroyed or scratched up, and, we have to take all that into it and figure it out. But I feel like most people in America, everybody was like, either you're a bad for image for our business, and if you fall, no question, you're going to sue us. And it's like, that's not even true. I don't even know what rhetoric you bought into to think that that's reality going to happen.
Right.
But everybody's just scared.
Yeah. Fear, I think, is the key here. Fear of the unknown. I sympathize with you guys because you guys are, for the most part, good people. There are bad people in every group, but I know that sometimes you can be seen as those delinquents trying to break up things, whatever. Have a tough time going around.
Well, you have to push the rules even sometimes. Like, I look back now and like hindsight's 2020, and it's like, when I was young, the police used to call my mom at like 12 at night and wake her up and be like, "We caught your kid skating at town again." And my mom was so supportive, and she was so awesome. She would be like, "The moment you catch my kid doing something that matters, you let me know. But do not call and wake me up to tell me my kid is skateboarding." And the hindsight being that, looking back later now, it's like, a part of that is how we got a skate park is the fact that kids were uptown skating and skating schools, and that the town realized, it's like, there's people doing this. The police were tired of having to chase us off because they're not really getting to do stuff that really matters. They're just spending time chasing kids off of places.
Right.
So it's like, in the end, it's like, provide a place.
Right.
And then it takes the headache off the skaters, it takes the headache off the police officers, it takes the headache from the businesses. And
the parents, because they know where their kid is.
Yeah. So it was like the win-win, but you have to go through all those years of like being a nuisance without trying to be a nuisance, just to do what you want to do.
Right. So speaking of skate parks, you're the main reason that the Waynesville skate park is here, correct? Like, you're the one who decided to make that their mission to kind of be the head person to get the skate park put in here, correct?
Myself with a lot of other people working together, but more than anything, it was, a lot of it started just with my mom having that knowledge, being like, if you really want this to happen, you can sit around and complain about it to your friends all day long, or you can go to town meetings, and you continue to go to town meetings, and you continue to show up, and as at some point, they cannot ignore somebody who constantly shows up, and then especially when you start showing up in numbers.
Right.
It's like, so, but yes, I was there since day one, like advocating and pushing and knowing that this was going to be a good thing for Waynesville.
You attended your first town meeting when?
9th grade.
9th grade. Wow. That's I think I was probably worried about sports in school at that point. I wasn't thinking like the bigger picture. So it's cool advice from your mom.
Yeah.
And so what was that process like? How did the town receive it?
It was frustrating. I mean, you go to these town meetings, you sit through 2 hours of everybody asking for stuff and them talking about certain issues so that you can get up and speak for like 1 to 2 minutes on what you feel is a need. And then you wait till next month and you go back and you do the same thing, and then hopefully over time you build momentum and other people in the town start taking interest, and community leaders start taking interest and kind of speaking for you as well. But it was a long process. I learned a lot though, and I feel super blessed now that I get to share that with other people when they come to town. Like, kids are like, "Why does Waynesville have such a good skate park? And we can't even get a good one in Charlotte." And I'm just like, you have to like show up. You can complain to your friends all day long, but I was like, you have to do these boring meetings that for skateboarders it's horrible, but you have to go be a part of that system,
So how many of you were there at the beginning? How many of you were there at the end?
There was meetings where it was just myself, because at a point it's hard to rally troops to keep coming every month for something when a lot of times for years it didn't seem like anything was ever going to happen.
Really?
So it's really hard to keep kids coming like, "Hey, can y'all come take time and come to another meeting so that one of us can speak and the rest of us can sit there for like 2 hours?" But then there was also a point where we realized that there was power in our numbers.
Right.
And that if we show up there and we pack out the whole community center place, that you have to acknowledge us.
Right.
When there's 20 or 30 skate kids being like, "Hey."
Yeah. So what was attending these meetings like? Did you feel like you were being heard and supported?
Everybody in Waynesville, all the aldermen and community leaders, we're always receptive, but it did always kind of feel like they already had their mind set up where they thought the money was going to go in Waynesville at that point, and where they kind of visioned what they visioned Waynesville as. And then I was coming from a far left corner, and at the time, I mean, now skateboarding is gaining a lot of traction.
Yes.
But at the time, it was still very counterculture, and it was still very small, and it still had a lot of negative stigma in a lot of people's eyes.
Right.
So you're fighting against something hard in a small town where the budget's small. Sometimes they're not super open to new, just radical ideas.
No, and that's understandable. What you don't know is sometimes a little off-putting, I guess.
Yeah, they have hard jobs, Everybody wants something.
Right.
And then it's like with skateboarding, it's like, is this going to be something that's going to continue to grow, or will it just slowly start falling away and we're going to invest all this money into it?
Right. And so why did you feel it was important for Haywood to have a dedicated space for skaters to go and, let loose and have a place within the community?
I personally knew how awesome skateboarding was. I knew what it had been for me. I had come from a background of just playing sports to then having something where it's like, it's individual expression. Like, there's no rules. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I don't have to have a coach. I don't have anybody blowing a whistle at me. There's no set lines or borders which I have to stay in to make it work. It's like, like you were saying, like, it really is a canvas in all aspects. And that freedom drew it to me. And I knew from a young age, I was like, I'm not a bad kid. I just want to practice my expression. And so from that point, I was like, Waynesville needs a skate park. And I knew skateboarding was awesome. And I was like, if we do it right, there's no way it can fail.
Right.
I was like, it's just too awesome.
Right.
For it to fail.
And you're already getting kicked out of, businesses and public places and being told not to do it. So by being given a space, having a dedicated space to be able to do it, solves both problems.
Yes. My mom was also like, when police used to stop us or call her about me skating, my mom would be like, you kick him out of a place he's not supposed to be in, but you have to give a youth an option. You can't just be a person in a high place and just say no, no, no. At some point you have to be like, hey, not here, but we've given you a spot here. And for years it was just no, no, no. And it's like no, no, no to a kid who's like using skateboarding to like stay out of trouble, to stay out of drugs, to like, when you're young, and it's especially for males, it's like there's a lot of built up energy.
Yes.
And like you need to put that someplace positive, or it overflows in other areas. And so it's like, it was a need.
Yes. I mean, skateboarding is physical, it's technical. You have to stick with it in order to perfect these tricks. You have to you come up with new tricks. You're always expanding. I mean, it's everything. It channels all things into one place that is going to serve a person well moving forward. It teaches you how to stick with something. It teaches you that you're not just going to get it on the first try. You're going to have to keep at it. It's going to teach you to take criticism or coaching from other people who are watching from the outside, like, oh man, like, maybe turn your body this way or whatever. I don't skate, so I don't know. Yeah. But there is so much that you can get from it that will help you moving forward that I feel like is overlooked a lot.
Completely. It teaches you a lot of life examples, and I could just, especially how you're talking about failing. I mean, if you watch skateboarding, if you go to the skate park, you'll watch a kid fail 50 times to succeed once.
Right.
And we live in a society now where it is scary to fail, and it's always scary to fail, but failing is okay.
Right.
And skateboarding really teaches you that right out the gate. That's like, oh, you're going to try this 50 times to get it once.
Right.
So it's a good lesson.
It is a great lesson. So what's the skate community like in Haywood County right now?
It's good. Obviously, we want to see it grow and develop, and we want to see new youth kind of come in and take their position as like, you get to be the guardians of the skate park. You get to be the guardians of what the skate scene in Waynesville becomes and is. But it's fantastic. People from out of town love Waynesville. I have friends that travel here through the summer months about every weekend.
Wow.
They love coming to Waynesville. And I think if you live in a place like Atlanta or Charlotte, you get to come skate a good park, but you also get to do the stuff you don't get to do in Atlanta, Charlotte. You get to be in the mountains, you get to go swimming, you get to go camping. So it's the win-win, and the fact that Waynesville took the time and built a good quality park, it will get to reap those benefits for years to come. And the fact that so many people are traveling to Little Waynesville to skate a park, and
it's a demographic they might not be aware of, because you see everyone down on Main Street or out at the festivals and stuff. But yeah, if kids are coming in from around town, I mean, they're buying gas here, they're buying food here, they're going out and checking out other locations in the area, and then they're telling their friends about it and posting on social media, and people are like, where is that place? So I know there was a park in Colorado that people came in from all over to go play, and this just might be that next spot, it sounds like.
It's what you do. Like when you skateboard, you realize that every park is different, so it gives you incentives to constantly be traveling, because it's not like, if you play basketball, it's not that much different to play in a different basketball court.
No.
But every skate park is fundamentally different, so it's like, it keeps you curious and it makes you want to explore.
Right.
So,
what are your hopes for the park moving forward? It's a pretty solid setup, but I'm sure you guys can always use more or something different.
Yeah, I feel like the skate park has been great. I think it's been here almost 7-8 years.
Wow.
Something like, I could be wrong. I think the skate park's been here between 6 and 8 now, I believe. It's been good, and I still feel like we have really only tapped into what it could become. It really will need some work from the skaters, from the community, to really keep the momentum going and actually see more growth, which I believe it's there. Skateboarding is in the Olympics next year.
Yeah.
No matter what happens with skateboarding, for the next few years, it will grow.
Right.
And I think, Waynesville's statement is progress with vision. When skateboarding actually becomes an Olympics, it's like, well, it's gonna grow. Why would Waynesville not go ahead and be investing time and energy into the skate park to be ahead of that game and be offering parents like, hey, here's a skate camp for your kids to get into. Here's an intro. Here's a class.
Right.
It's a hard thing for a parent to show up at that skate park with a 6 or 7 year old kid, and you go out there, and then there's 30-year-old men like me going 20 miles an hour past their kid who's out there for the first time. And then most parents, I talk to parents out there, and they're like, I can teach my kid to drill basketball. I don't know how to stand on a skateboard. And they just kind of push their kid out there, and I know it's intimidating, and if you fall on concrete, if you don't know how to fall, it can put a real bad taste in your mouth real quick, and you'd be like, if this is what this is about, I am out. And I really feel like, as far as Waynesville community, we need to be having events. You have a fantastic facility. The fact that we don't do any events, and I've tried, and the town is just, or at least the rec park has just not been willing to work with me, and it really bums me out that you have this awesome facility that people from all over love to come to, and that local kids are going to, and you don't ever have anything for them. I can't imagine if you ask kids to play AYSO soccer, be like, come to practice Tuesdays and Thursdays, Saturdays we don't play a game.
Right.
All you do is practice. It's like, how long do you expect interest to stay? Well, with the skate park, we've been there 6 years, kids still come, there's still people there, and there's no events, there's no game, there's no contest. Imagine what if you did.
Right.
How big could it be? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy to me because I really think there's a lot of possibilities and untapped stuff that we have this great facility, and we're kind of partially only using it. It's build it, let it sit there.
Right.
The rec park don't even put us in their flyers half the time. They don't even acknowledge us. It's oh, we're having a volleyball camp. We're having swim lessons. It's the skate park is never even mentioned, and I just don't get it. When they did a master survey plan of usage a couple years ago, they did 4 public surveys on what parks people use. Mm-hmm. The skate park
was one of the highest, right?
Every single meeting, which was supposed to be an indicator of where they were going to put money in over the next 10 years. It was a master plan. We haven't seen anything. Nothing. Nobody talks to us. I struggle with them to fix basic repairs down there. Just even communication. And I just don't get it, because if you talk to those people, they're like, skate park's good. People use it. We're glad it's there. But it's like, will you work with us like you work with everybody else? You know, like if you really want a town to succeed, even if it's not your wheelhouse, which is obviously not their wheelhouse, it's like, you got to be a public servant. You're working for what's best for the community. And if this is an area that is serving the community and has a lot of potential for the growth, it's just like, it just feels wrong to kind of ignore it, you know, when all the components are there.
Right. Well, with skateboarding becoming more mainstream, and after the Olympics, I'm sure it's just going to explode, but it's definitely becoming more mainstream in every American household. It sounds like the potential for athletes in the community is there. I know I've seen some of the older skaters working with younger skaters to show them. I know that's how some of the people I've known throughout my life who've, you know, been skating since they were younger, they've learned that. They've always had the older friend who took them under their wing to show them, because mom and dad can't help me do this. I want to do that. How can I do that? And I just think it's the sweetest thing ever when you see an older, more experienced skater working with a younger one and helping them get that. But it also, I think, leads to having kind of that friendship and mentorship to support you through the awkward years when, I mean, there's drugs and parties and, you know, kids are going through things at home. And just to have that older person who understands and connects with you on something that isn't mainstream really can help a kid. I know it helped some of my brother and his friends, or my brother and his friends, and it's helped a lot of people. And I think here in Haywood, there's probably a place for that. You know, if you have the facility, you can get camps running, have events too. So I hope that can happen for you.
Yeah, and hopefully if we all keep working together, it'll just, the ripple effect will happen. And it's like, I feel like now is more than ever the time. I mean, next year will be the first year it's in the Olympics. And I want Waynesville to be a pillar to the rest of Western North Carolina, be like, hey, like, we were one of the first ones to get a really good skate park, and other towns have asked Waynesville for advice on how to do that and are following their lead. I was like, so let's take the next step. Let's be the first one to do really good events. Just be let's do really cool camps and offer really cool things for like the next generation of kids. And like you say, working like how the older and younger skaters work together, it's cool. You know, like I had older skate mentors who they shaped me and they did help keep me like on a good path. And it's nuts that a simple toy can do all that, but that simple toy is a community. And like when you have a community, anything's possible, you know, because like no man is an island, you know. And it's like, even though skateboarding is a solo thing, it's truly community. And you only see that if you're really involved. And I know that you know that from seeing Asheville and then being involved in, you know, the stuff in Raleigh. It's like, it's only through community. Right.
And a community is made up of all groups. So I think it's great that they've given you a space in the community. And I hope that as Waynesville grows, we can grow all aspects of the community, including your park.
Not all kids are going to play team sports. They're just not wired for that. You know, it's like, so there has to be options. Skateboarding, we have our own issues and our own stuff to figure out, just like every other group, but we don't deal with a lot of stuff other groups do. Like, we don't have racism. We don't have prejudice. Like, none of that really even you just don't see it. It doesn't exist. You know, it's just like, it's a shame that in today's society we even have to talk about that, but it's like, to be a part of something where it's like, we don't care. Like, if you do this, you're one of us, and we'll stick together, you know, because we're a small group. We have to stick together, you know, to make the needle move forward. And what a better thing for society this day and age. Seriously. Being accepting and being like, you know.
Find the common ground and celebrate it, but also not deliberately exclude people, knowing what it's like to be excluded.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's a great place for the outcasts and the weirdos.
Hell yeah.
It's super sick for all those people.
We will run the world at some point.
Us.
Right.
To make it become what it is. So that really gives us a lot of power, but it's also really hard because a lot of us are young. And a lot of us don't have budgets. We don't.
You're funding this all yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Foundation is a great example of the skate community coming together. I was working in front of it as they were like, I mean, it was already established, but it was during the transition from whoever owned RAD before to the guy who owns it now. And everyone was stressing that all their hard work was going to get torn down. But when that guy embraced the skate community and then dedicated one of the abandoned buildings to be a skate place next to the skate park and gave the guys the go-ahead, it was unbelievable seeing how the skate community came together. Almost, I feel like I'd noticed some kids there. I knew there was a skate community in Asheville, but I feel like I saw way more kids there on a daily basis. You know, blood, sweat, tears, you know, concrete, rebar, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Rebar work, everything. And, you know, and then taking old skate decks and making art out of it. I mean, along with the graffiti art that was around it, street art is probably the better word for it.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful masterpiece and testament to the skate community and what it is made up of. You know, you don't see soccer teams going out and putting together stuff like that because it's already there for them.
It's already there.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And you have to think about how much closer it's brought that community together because you're working literally to build it together. So you really get to know these people.
Yes.
And I don't know.
And then it's there. I mean, every time you walk by.
You have ownership.
Yes. Every time you walk by, like, man, that's my section right there.
And
or I helped put that bowl up. Or.
Yeah. And when people are there acting whack, they deal with it. They police their own place because it is theirs and they have invested interest in it and they want to take care of it.
Right.
It's like, is that not what every function in society wants from its citizens?
Yep.
Is that they take ownership in their neighborhood?
Right.
You know, in their parks? It's like, celebrate that.
Right.
Don't like make it hard for them.
I mean, a lot of people don't even realize that there is a system to a skate park when there's a bunch of people skating, right? Like, you guys establish who goes when and where, even though to the outside eye, it just looks like madness.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a part of the reason why I want to see, like, camps or classes come to Waynesville is because also it's like, there's etiquette.
Right.
You know, and you just see kids out there and they just don't know, and like a skate park can work great and it looks like chaos, but it's not.
Right.
Because everybody kind of learns this etiquette and flow, but you don't know that the first time you go to a skate park.
No.
You just see chaos and it's really scary and
It's
freaky.
intimidating.
Really freaky to kids and like people who are new to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's like, why not, like, if kids are involved, it's like, it is such a rich history and culture. It's like, let's learn about like where do we come from in skating?
Right.
You know, like, what is our background? You know, and like, what equipment is good equipment? You know, like I see kids come out there to the skate park and like, and their parents are trying. They bought them a board, but it's a horrible board. And it's like they're not even getting a fair chance to learn. You know, so there's nobody. It's so new to this area, at least in Haywood County. It's like there's nobody even educating parents or kids. I'm like, hey, if your kid wants to do this, here's how you go about doing it to give them a fair chance to see if this is something that they're going to be into or not.
Right.
So that's where I want to kind of see stuff develop in Haywood County, you know.
Well, Jared, I can't thank you enough for coming in today and letting us talk to you. If you had one final thing to say to kids of America, Waynesville, Haywood County, what would that be?
Well, the journey of 1,000 smiles begins with a single push for all you skateboarders out there. But bigger than that, truly, Waynesville, Haywood County, I've traveled all over. This is an amazing area for so many reasons, and I encourage all of us to make Waynesville rad and to keep working towards that goal.
Right on. Great. Well, thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right.